4 weeks down, 2 to go. And like punch-drunk fighters nearing the end of the final rounds, there seems to be a definitive anger in the air. They've got their angry pants on, nerves are fraying, voices are being raised. And it began on Friday when a journalist had the temerity to ask Labor leader Anthony Albanese whether he could use the word guarantee.
Can you give a guarantee that Labor would not make any cuts to health, education or the NDIS?
Labor will always be better on health, education and the NDIS. This is an example of what puts people off politics. You cannot have a clearer answer than that Labor is putting additional funding into health, education and the NDIS, and we stand by it. And you know what puts people off politics? That sort of word game. That is very clear. It can't be clearer.
Touchy, Albo. It's not a word game. His answer was close to vicious. Did you see that? All because Rachel Baxendale from The Australian was trying to establish, will he cut those services? We weren't asking whether Labor was going to be different to the government, whether those services were going to be better under Labor. Will there be cuts and can he guarantee there'd be no cuts? A completely different question. Of course, this wasn't long after he got caught out again, not knowing his own NDIS policy. That was not a gotcha moment, that question on the NDIS. It was a Dorothy Dixer. Everyone he's got wrong has been a Dorothy Dixer. So you can see why the simplest of questions are now treated like hand grenades by the Labor leader. He's gun-shy. That's what he is. He's gun-shy. And he thinks the best way to fight back is to actually fight. Meanwhile, John Howard returned to campaign trail duty this weekend, and he too wasn't pulling any punches, this time as he gave Anthony Albanese both barrels. Now, in an interview with the Herald Sun, Howard said, in modern times, nobody has gone to an election so policy light as this bloke. But there's nothing, I mean this fellow, he's a blank piece of paper on policy, and that's what makes, in my view, his failure to be across the detail all the more blameworthy, because there's not a lot of detail to be across. He just seems to be a left-wing inner-city bomb thrower. Ouch. Cop that. John Howard was clearly out to hunt down lefties this weekend. And this, of course, from someone Albo said a month ago, he was like, quote, more Hawke or Howard and less Shorten, he said. He won't be repeating that line again. But he used John Howard's comments today to wind up again on the government, who he calls a rebel.
I respect him for the courage that he showed on gun control. But John Howard, if he was sitting in the caucus today, would not recognise the rabble that is the Liberal Party under Scott Morrison.
And I've got to say the Prime Minister too is beginning to throw the odd old-fashioned haymaker of his own. Again, he's seeing the week-to-week poll numbers draw closer, but still not close enough to score victory. So from Perth, he took a heavy swing at the Labor leader, calling him weak.
Small target means a small leader. A small leader is a weak leader. And a weak leader is a risk to Australia, our economy and our security.
And can I point something out to you, just on Anthony Albanese's efforts to reduce the damage at these press conferences? I can tell you tonight that campaign reporters, according to what they've told me, have devised their own methods to fight Albo's censorship. Now, you would have heard that Team Albanese has restricted each journalist to asking just one question per press conference. Let's go elsewhere. Now, usually that would be enough to prevent follow-up questions to answers that fall short of credibility. But I can tell you that the media pack chasing both leaders have decided to fight back and join forces. Yes, very collegiate. As a group, journalists on the campaign trail have agreed to have each other's back and follow up on answers that are inferior and need further scrutiny. In other words, follow up on questions that have been asked by someone else completely. Here's a classic example.
That's why it's good policy. Last one here. Last one here. Last one here. You only get one.
How many more women? You haven't answered that.
It is good for men and for women. If you reduce
sectors, they're traditionally male
no
dominated.
no.
Well done to the media, the political media. The election campaign is heating up big time. It's not just the political players who are hitting harder and hitting faster. Even the media have decided to ramp up their interrogations. Bring on week 5.